Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to build a leaf ladder trellis like this one right here. It's a little bit on the narrower side. It's good for a patio garden where you got containers close together, or if you got a spot in the garden where you just need a small trellis, it'll work well. You're going to need a cedar fence picket, a brad nailer, and a way to cut some strips for the railings. Let's get into it. Alright, the first step is to cut the pieces out for my cut list on the cedar fence picket. I'm going to need two longer pieces of 48 inches. I want to try to pick the pieces of wood with the fewest knots for those. Then the shorter pieces can have some knots, or we can defect around those. And for the strips, I'll be using a table saw to cut these up. If you don't have a table saw, you could use a hand saw, or if you had a guide, you could also use a skill saw. Okay, now I got the 7/8 inch pieces cut. It's time to cut the 5/8 inch narrower strips. Make sure you always wear all your PPE when sawing. Okay, now I got my strips ripped to width. I'm going to take my 7/8 inch pieces and cut those to length. On one end of the piece, I want to cut it at a 60-degree angle so that it'll push into the dirt more easily. The next step is to mark our spacing onto the vertical pieces of our trellis, starting from the pointed end. With that done, it's time to start cutting our 5/8 inch horizontal pieces to length. Now I'm going to put the very bottom piece and the very top horizontal piece on there to get the spacing correct, and then we'll add the other pieces. The inside spacing is about 4 inches with a 1/2 inch overlap. The top is going to be a 6.5 inch spacing with a 2 inch overlap. Of course, you can modify this depending on the size of your planters or the desired trellis size. To attach the horizontal pieces, I'll be using some waterproof glue, some 1¼ inch stainless steel brad nails, and a brad nailer. The overlap for the top piece should be 2 inches. I'm going to use a little spacer block to keep it consistent. Now that we got our spacing set, we can put the other pieces on pretty quick. First I'll apply all the glue, and then lay the pieces down and nail them in. Put the 2 longer ones at the top, then use the 3 shorter ones at the bottom. And if you don't have a nail gun, you can always go old-fashioned and use a hammer and nail. Alright, we have all our pieces nailed on. As you can see, the overlap is a little inconsistent. What I'm going to do is run a straight edge along here and trim those so they're all even. I'll start by lining it up on the bottom piece, and then the top piece, and mark all the pieces in the middle. And then I'll use the handsaw to cut those all on the marks. Alright, there you have it. A quick and easy trellis ready for the garden. Thanks for watching.